Hello guys, recently I had to challenge myself with a 3D development and I learned how to make these cool portals. My RPG videos does not get much attention, so I decided to change the topic and make some tutorials. And in the next 3 or 4 videos I'm gonna show you how to make this simple portal prototype, and then it's up to you to decide what you're gonna do with it. You can build the entire game on the top of it, or you can just take the knowledge and bring it to another game. I'm planning to have 3 or 4 videos. In this video, we're going to set up the scene and make player controller. In the next video, I'll show you how to make view of the portal so you can see what's on the other side. And video after that, I'll show you how to make teleportation effect so you can walk through the portal. If this video gets attention, if I'll get likes and if people write some comments, basically if I see that people are interested in these videos, then maybe I'll make another video on how to make a portal gun so you can shoot portals on the wall like in the original game, or maybe some enemies, I don't know, anything that comes to mind, because possibilities are endless. Alright, but we're gonna begin by setting up the project. And before we do that, I wanna say thank you to my Patreons, Friendly Robot, AceKitty1 Mighty Poppy, and Mitro Billets. Thanks to you guys, these videos are possible. Alright, so as I said, we're gonna begin by setting up the project. Gonna be not difficult to do at all. We're just gonna click new project, and I believe you know how to do that. I'm gonna choose editor version, the latest one I have at the moment, 26F, but I guess it's going to be fine in anyway. Let me give it a name, maybe portal prototype YouTube tutorial, something like that. And once project is created, I'm going to show you what to do next. All right, so I've got the project, and first thing what I want to do is go to Unity Asset Store and get these textures. I mean these, because I really don't like to work with default materials and default look of it. So what we need to do is go to Unity Asset Store. And just going to be super easy, Asset Store. I'm gonna open in a browser. Yeah, and here you can type prototype, and that's it. That's all what you need. Come on, man, prototype. Yeah, we're gonna choose free asset. And here it is, the first one, grid prototype materials. Just click it and choose open in Unity. And you're gonna have it, and you need to install it and download it, or download and install. I have my downloaded, so I'm just gonna click import. And here we don't need demo. We need materials, but not all of them. We can just choose standard. That's it. And we're gonna need textures, so I'm gonna keep them. So yeah, that's it. Let's click import. Now I have it. I'm gonna close this tab. And what I want to do next is to create a plane. Let's call it ground. Make a scale, maybe 3 by 3. Is it too big? Let's try 2 by 2. If you want, you can make it bigger. Now I'm gonna go to the third party, find some material, what I like, and I wanna have a dark one. So I'm going to choose something dark. Let me see. Oh, this one is pretty. I'm going to keep this one. Now I want to set up with like a kind of a level. And also I want to have, yeah, let me take this material and choose tiling 3, or what is the size of the ground? 2. Okay, so I'm going to do tiling 2 by 2. This is okay. Now let's make 3D cube. There's going to be a wall. Just going to raise it up and increase in size on the Z. So now it's like that. We're going to move it. By the way, I'm using hotkeys with the QWERT. So, and I'm moving around the scene with the middle mouse button, like so. And then to move, I press W. To rotate, I press E. To change transform, I press T and I change transform. Super simple. So let's make, oh, sorry. And to rotate like this, I just need to hold Alt key and rotate around. Yeah, so let's just change size of this to something more suitable. Let's see. This okay. All right, this okay. Now let's press Ctrl D to duplicate. Oh no, let's actually put some material. Maybe another one. I don't know. Yeah, Let's choose this one. Now I'm going to duplicate it, bring it to this side, duplicate again. Now I need to rotate, so I'm going to press E and rotate. Place it here and make another one to have a room like so. Room. Now I can make another one, maybe a cube for a platform. I'm just going to call it platform and make it, maybe this color will do. And now you can change size as you want, as big as you want, and place it as you like. I'm going to have a big cube. Place it in the corner, just like you saw in the demo. Maybe a bit lower in height, or maybe walls should be higher. Yeah, let's select all of the walls and make Y5. And then press W and move them up a bit. Yeah, this is good. Now this one should be a bit higher. And a couple of more platforms, we can just duplicate it, move it, bring it lower. Maybe duplicate another one, place it here. And duplicate another one, maybe place it here and make it longer. I don't know, it's just prototype. It doesn't matter how it's going to look. I just want to have something around so I can jump on and, you know, play, have some fun. Yeah, and I want to make a small step here that you can jump on. Like so. Wait, I'm going to make it slimmer. Bring it here and make this one slimmer. A bit lower. Like so. Okay, good. So we have kind of a level that we can play around, and we're going to place portals here later. As of now, let's make a player controller. And yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to take all of the level parts, create empty parent and call it level. I'm going to take this and rename it to level. All right, good. And I'm going to close this, and now we need to create a character. So I'm going to create 3D capsule. This is going to be a player, so I'm going to name it as player. And let's find some material also to make it a bit prettier. I don't know, maybe this one, maybe just blue. Yeah, this will do. Okay, so now we have a player. What we need to do is to set it up. First thing to do is to delete capsule collider. We're not going to use it. And we're going to create an empty parent for this that's going to be named as player as well. And actually this one can be named as just visuals. All right. So now we have a player. We're going to put a character controller component on it that we're going to use to control character. And also I want to place a main camera as a child of a player, like so. Now we need to take this main camera and reset position on the Z and on the X, and maybe bring it to the head of the character, something like so will do. So now if we play the game, nothing is going to happen, but we're going to have our first person view, which is a beginning at least, right? So now we have that. Let's create a script to control the player. And first thing, what we're going to do here is to set up view so we can look around. Let's create a C# script that I'm going to name as player controller. All right, now we're gonna put it on the player, and maybe, I hope it's not your first time in Unity, but if it is, I'm gonna just give a short explanation on what we're trying to do here. We're gonna get access to the components we have in Unity, and we're gonna control them and change their values. Simply to say, let's say this character controller has radius, height, center, and some other parameters. And I can change them here in the inspector, right? This is what you call inspector. But sometimes you need to do it through the code. For example, if you want to control main camera, you need to change rotation of the camera so you can look around, right? But you cannot do it in the inspector. You need to do it with the control of your keyboard and mouse. So what we're going to do in the script is we're going to get access to the main camera, to the transform component, and rotate it with the controls we have, like with the mouse and keyboard. Something like that. Let's try it first, and then I'm going to explain more. I'm going to zoom it in because this is small. I'm going to delete start and update until I need it. And as of now, let's just make a public float. sensitivity. And I'm gonna set it to maybe 1 by default. Let it be 1. Now, next thing we need to do is to get private transform player camera, and we need access to character controller for the future. So I'm gonna do private character controller and just name it as a controller. And actually, let's make them public. I'm gonna show you how to assign components. Again, if you guys know how to do this, I'm sorry, I'm just doing this for new people who has no idea what I'm trying to do here, right? So look now, if I save this script, if I save this script, I have two variables, player camera here and controller here. And as you can see, they are none, they are empty, so we need to assign them. Because I made them public, I can see them in the inspector, and I can just take character controller, drag like so, take main camera, drag like so, and assign it. But usually it's a good practice to make variables private and do not make them public if you don't really have a reason to do so. So if you make them private, if you make them private, you won't be able to see them in the inspector. All right, so I did this. I cannot see them in the inspector. I don't know how to assign them. Luckily, there is a very simple way to do that. We're just going to go to script back, type private void start. We have a start function now. And instead of assigning them in the inspector, we can do controller equals to get component of character controller. And this will get component on the same game object. So player has a game object. This one has a component of a player controller, and it tries to find character controller on the same game object. And it will find it, this one. Now for the camera, camera is a child of the player, so we need to get component in children. That's what we need to do. Let's go back and just type here, I'm gonna zoom it in a bit. Player camera equals to get component in children, and it's going to be just camera. And because we're trying to get not the camera component, but camera's transform, so we can rotate it, I'm going to type here dot transform. Good, we're done with this. Now let's go and make an update. In the update, first of all, I want to rotate camera around the X. So we have Y and X, and we want to look left and right. So what we're going to do here is to type transform, rotate, and as of now, I'm using transform of the player, not the camera, because we also want to rotate the character, not only the camera, right? So let's type here 0 on the X, input, get axis mouse X for the Y, because we're going to rotate around the Y. And we're going to multiply it by sensitivity we have, and then 0 on the Z. Now let's go ahead and try this, and I'm going to explain what it does. So the idea is, like, if you want to look left and right, you need to, let me bring a game window here for a second. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I'm going to make it 16, maybe full HD. So the idea is you want to rotate camera around the Y so you can look left and right. But we cannot just rotate the camera, we need to rotate character as well to know where he's facing. And because camera is a child of a player, when you rotate character to the left and right, camera gonna rotate as well. That's why we're doing just transform, because this transform is exactly this transform, right? Good. So let's go ahead and try this in the play mode. Maybe I'll bring a game window here, and we can see I can look left and right. Good, love it. Now let's do a bit of more settings. I want to bring my player to the ground. And now I want to rotate around the Y, so I can look up or down. Super simple to do as well, but this time we're going to rotate the camera only. How are we going to do this? We're going to do player camera, rotate, then we're going to type minus input, get axis. We're going to use mouse Y this time, and we're going to multiply it by sensitivity, and then 0, 0. Now let's go try this, see what it gives us. Going to be a slight misbehavior, but we're going to fix it in no time. Check this out. I can look up and down. Oh, I don't like that I see my mouse. Okay, so what we can do is go back to start and type here cursor, lock state, cursor locked, cursor lock mode locked. This will not allow mouse to go out of the play window, and then we can just hide it. Visible false. And then I'm gonna press Ctrl P to enter play mode, like so. Okay, you can still see my cursor because of my mouse highlight, but I'm gonna switch it off. So this is how it works now. I can look up and down thanks to this line of code, right? This allows me to rotate the camera around the x-axis. And when you rotate camera around x-axis, this is what is happening. This is the rotation, this is the x, and I'm gonna rotate, and we can see up and down. And that's why we have minus over there, because you can see when I'm rotating to the negative, it goes up. So we need kinda an opposite rotation. However, we have a slight problem here. I can look around like so, which is not exactly what we need to do. Luckily, there is an easy fix. Let's go. And I understand this might be confusing, especially if you're new. But my advice is do not get overwhelmed and do not worry if you don't understand some parts of the code, especially if you're new. With the time, it comes to your mind. It's just like, even if you don't get it, your brain trying to understand it, and your brain basically gets it at some point, and you're like, this is how it works. So again, if you don't understand something, just repeat after me. Try to do that. Right? We're gonna type if player camera local rotation Euler angles dot y. We're gonna check if it's not equals to 0. So if there is any rotation, then we're gonna do player camera rotate, and then this time we're gonna use positive value input, get axis mouse y. We're gonna multiply it by sensitivity, and then use 0, 0. And this will allow us to block movement when you going too far. Let's check this out. So now I can look up, I can look down, but I cannot look around myself, right? I think this is just perfect. So now I want to move. I don't want to stand, I want to move. What I can do with this? Something super simple. First of all, let's go and make a bunch of variables so we can set up our movement, jump height, and other things. I'm gonna make a header that I'm gonna name as movement details. And I know we created variable public, but actually it's a good practice to make them private. As you know, private variables are not seen in the inspector. So what we can do to make them visible is use serialize field. This will make private variable accessible in the inspector. Let's do serialize field, private float move speed, and I'm gonna set default value so I won't forget later. Then serialize field private float, we need a jump force. I'm gonna do jump force, maybe, let's try 10. And then serialize field, private float, we're gonna have gravity. I'm gonna set 15 by default, let's see. And I'm gonna make this one serialize field private and make a header for this, camera details. All right, this is much better, I like it. Now that we have these variables, we can use them to control the controller. Yeah. Before we do that, we need to decide movement direction of the character. And it's all calculated on the vector 3, but it's not really difficult. Let's try it. Let's make a private vector 3 move direction. I'm gonna bring it here, and we're gonna keep it like so, empty. Then in the update over here, I'm gonna do move direction equals to new vector 3, in which for the x we're going to use horizontal axis, all right? Because you have x, right? You have x, y, and z, and you need to move left and right. So we use horizontal axis. Input, get axis, horizontal. Make sure you don't misspell this. Then we're going to multiply it by move speed. For the y, which is vertical movement, we're not going to do anything. So I'm going to do move direction.y. And basically, this means do not change the y, keep it as it is. And for the z that we're going to use to move forward, I'm going to do input, get axis, vertical, and also multiplied by move speed. Good. Now that we have this, we also need to make sure this is applied to the character correctly based on its current rotation in the game world. So we need to transfer it. For that, we're going to do move direction equals to transform direction. And if you put your mouse, oh, let's type move direction here. Yeah, so if you put your mouse over it, you can see transform direction from local space to world space, which will allow him to move correctly based on its rotation in a game world. All right. I know this is a bit confusing, but this is the way to do it. Now let's apply gravity. So character gonna fall if he's like in the air. Gonna be not difficult to do again. Move direction.y, which is used to control vertical movement. We're gonna do minus equals gravity multiplied by time.delta time. If you see time.delta time for the first time and you're not really familiar with it, let me just say that we use it to make movement smooth and frame rate independent, because if your frame rate is higher on one machine and lower on another machine, two people would have different velocity on two different machines. But with the time.delta time, we can kind of avoid that. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And with the help of this, we apply gravity. So player gonna be pulled down at all times. And then the next step would be to type controller. So finally we're using component that we got access to. And there is a method move, which requires vector 3. And for that, we're gonna use just move direction. Very simple. Now let's save this. And I guess I didn't say before, I'm pressing Ctrl S as a hotkey to save the script. Like so. Now back in Unity, let it compile and try it in a play mode. We have gravity, jump force, move speed, everything we have there. Now I can move around. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is too fast. I guess I know why. And this is, by the way, why you use time.delta time. Over here, we need to do multiply by time.delta time. All right, let's try again. Okay, I can walk around. Very nice. I can walk around. I can look around. Now I want to jump. Let's do the jump real quick. And then I'm going to give you a couple of final words before we end this video. Just before we apply movement, we can say if controller is grounded, then we can do if input get, we can use button or we can use key. Well, let's try button, jump. So if input of a button jump, then we would do move direction.y equals to jump force. And by the way, this way of typing thing is the same if you would type this. It's just when you have one line of code, you don't really need curly brackets. So you can do like so, and you can do like so. Yeah, but I find that for new people, sometimes it's confusing, so I keep curly brackets just in case, right? And now we need to apply jump force if we're jumping, and if we are not jumping, then we don't need to apply y force, so we can do else move direction dot y equals to 0. So we don't apply any gravity if you are on the ground. Perfect. All right, it's working. Please watch this video till the end. I have something to say. First of all, thank you for paying attention. I hope you did like this video, and I'm teaching game dev at unityalexdev.com. I have cool tutorials there for mostly 2D development, like how to make RPG, how to make platformer, how to make endless runner. You can find all of the links below. Give me a like and a comment to this video if you want to have more tutorials on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. It was nice to see you, and remember, we don't play games, we make them.